healthy hello to everybody out there. We are back for another Miniature Monday. Thank you, Andre. Happy Miniature Monday. You are correct. So, of course, today we are here in happy, good vibe spirit. Drop a 1 in the chat if you're working from home today, just so we know. You know, it's interesting to kind of see what's going on. Hope everybody's doing okay, though. Hope you had a good weekend and you all found at least one roll of toilet paper if you were on the search. So I hope everybody at least was fruitful in their endeavors. But working from work nomad, of course. So hopefully you guys are all okay. No one's stressing too much. If you are stressing too much, just take a nap or stretch.
Or if you're stretching too much.
Or if you're stretching too much, then yeah, do both. But hopefully everybody's doing okay. Thank you, Carwin, for another sub. Remember, you guys can subscribe to us here on Twitch in the top right-hand corner. If you're looking on a desktop, you can click that subscribe button and link it with your Amazon Prime account for free if you haven't done that before. If you've done it in the past, I'll always remind you every Monday, just double check and see if it's time for you to resubscribe because it won't do it for you. So, but beyond that, we are here for Big Bad Guy, of course, on our kit. We are working on the spider demoness, whatever. Her name's Sharona. It's Shalith or something. I forget the name, of course. But so we'll be working on her today. If you want to go to the close cam for us here, I'll kind of show you what we are attempting. So here's our finished mini. So it's funny, if you watch the prep video, you can see I had mentioned how the Milliput didn't really give me the cleanest hide on the seam right there, but I got rid of these seams because I filed them forever and cut away at it. And then on this version, I said, we'll see how well I did. Well, these seams are completely gone pretty much, except for that one because I didn't file it enough. So it's funny, it's kind of like, we figured it out and sort of figured it out and didn't get there. And then we'll have to get some paint over that section because I accidentally scraped the primer off. But to recap on everything else that we've worked on so far, of course, last week we did our 2 fungoids, and I've seen some people's fungoids. Joni showed me her fungoids. They look amazing. She may be in the chat today, who knows. But I have seen some photos of you guys knocking those out, so here they are. We, of course, changed it to green and purple instead of the sort of blue that we did before that. Then I've also seen some people's spiders as well. This was the first miniature that we did on this kit as well at the beginning of the month, so this looks really, really fun and cool too. I've seen some of these out in the wild. And then next week, finishing it up, we're going to be working on the hero miniature. She is really, really awesome. I love the blades. The cloak, for whatever reason, still is my favorite part. I just kind of like this motion that she has, how she's sort of like dipping back, and you can really see that flow of motion in the cape. I don't know. I mean, little subtle things like that always kind of make me appreciate miniatures more because they're just more alive, I suppose. But I know I would probably fall if I was making the pose she's doing. She's like sort of doing a limbo that we can't see. But then, of course, we also were going to be working on 2 weeks from now, the Shadow Dragon. I know I showed that off earlier today. You can see how big it is. Now, this was a 3D printed just test run on this miniature. So, of course, as I stated online for those that have seen that post, this miniature could change a little bit before it enters into production. And then this one was dropped and broke quite a bit. So there was quite a bit of work that I put back into it. So this whole section of the wing right here was completely gone on this side. So this was all sculpted by me. I had to go back in with the green stuff and fix the big old chunk that was completely missing. The only part I didn't really mess with, because I just don't know how to do it really, is the tip of the tail is gone. And I mean, I may attempt that before we get started doing anything about that, but we just kind of mess with that. And then I did a bunch of gap filling elsewhere and sort of fixed some different breaks here and there. And then the hand was also broken. So I took this Bones Villager model, heated it up, and sort of bent it so that it looks like the fingers are sunk into its body and he's like sort of being dragged across this surface. And then I re-sculpted this entire front section of the base out of green stuff as well. So the final mini, I believe this is more of like a flat rock face, but this is just to kind of help sell the idea, right, of this victim being dragged. But so my plan, at least for people that are going to be at home, hanging out for whoever knows how long this may take, I'll be working on this mini 1 hour at a time. So it looks like we will have 9 sessions by the 30th. So we should have quite a bit of those stored up for people by the time Bones 5 actually delivers. You can try and do it. This one, of course, is completely opaque. They did say that they would be casting this, I believe, in transparent somehow. So this is the Shadow Dragon Craterix, I believe, and that's pretty much it. And for those that are in the chat, I didn't break anything. So this was given to me broken, but definitely did as much work as I could to make it look nice. But so we're going to be working on that. If you want to follow along, make sure you follow me on Facebook under Mini Painting Studio. I scheduled event reminders, so you can just literally subscribe to the whole thing, and you'll be able to know every single day whenever I'm going to go live with that. And then, of course, on the 30th is our 13th bonus episode for this quarter. So we'll be reviewing everybody's paint jobs, and then I should be at a stage where we can, finish it off on camera and do details and stuff like that. But so I'll be taking it relatively slow and doing lots of different work that way. So, but that will be fun. That's kind of just like an added little extra thing that we will be working on. And beyond that, we can go ahead and get started today. So first thing first that we're going to work on here, we're going to base coat the body, which is pretty much the entire miniature. So first thing I'm going to need is some of the amethyst purple. You can see the colors along the bottom of the screen.
Also, real quick, just to update you, the !prep command is the newest prep video for that girl right there.
Cool.
That lady.
So there is like a 16-minute, 17-minute video of me just putting her together and then trying to do green stuff, removing mold lines, all that stuff. So if you do need help putting it together, if you do !prep, it'll take you to that video. But so I'm going to take some amethyst purple, and then I'm also going to take some noir black and some burgundy wine, and that will be sort of where we get our base for this miniature in terms of our color for the skin. Shouldn't be anything too absolutely crazy. We'll get there the rest to a minute. Let's see. Yeah, Cyberstorm, if you have a... Now, I wouldn't do it amethyst purple, because that's not the color we're doing it with first, right? But whatever the sort of darker purple that we roll with first, that's what I would definitely go for. It will be easier for you to get a base coat in like that than otherwise. So, but I'm just going to be doing it by brush. It really won't take that long necessarily. So the color that I have mixed with a little bit of that burgundy. Oh, I should have put a glove on. Oh, well, it's cool. We'll just ruin my hands today. It's really kind of a grayed out purple. Amethyst purple really is directly only going to be for the highlights that we do on this miniature. Everything else is going to be a little bit more muted from the get-go. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and coat the body. Feel free to go ahead and cover the jewelry and everything like that. It's really not going to make too much of a difference in our process here. The jewelry itself is so thin that, we're just going to take a brush to repaint all the lines anyway, so no big deal on that end. No gloves because I'm saving my gloves. That's the trick. I actually have a ton of gloves, so I wore some to the grocery store just so I didn't have to feel weirded out in any way earlier this weekend. I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to wear gloves. Who cares? So as I browsed all the empty shelves, it was really fun. But with all the toilet paper, with all the toilet paper people have been buying, I expected to see all the Ducalax missing from Walmart, but for whatever reason, people aren't prepping with that. I mean, that seems a little bit crazy to me, but you do you with the doo-doos. And then on the legs, feel free to paint it up all the way to that final joint. The front part of the arms or whatever legs are going to be green. As you can tell, I'm not really taking too long here to base coat everything. Now, of course, I'm coughing because I have really bad acid reflux, not covoid. Don't freak out.
I hope so.
Don't freak out.
Josh,
Justin knows about the heartburn coughs.
I'll leave this room right now.
He knows about the heartburn coughs, okay?
Oh, do I? Do you like it when you do that and you get a little bit of spittle of acid, too, at the same time?
It's the coolest thing that my body could have ever done. I really love it.
Ooh.
What's funny is, like, if I roll over in bed after sleeping on my left side, as you do, shout out to the heartburn gang. If I roll over because I'm just so tired of being on my left side, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, God, this was a mistake, and you just get heartburn within seconds, and you have to get up. It's like, oh.
You sit up to keep the volcano from erupting?
Yeah. I have a thing of Tums by my bed specifically because of that. So
Me too, and it's the Ultra Strength, and it's the biggest case I can buy.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't use them much anymore because I take omeprazole every day, but...
Yeah. See, with me, what's weird is that it doesn't... the over-the-counter stuff doesn't really work. Like, I notice an improvement after, like, a month of using it.
Oh, really?
Like, I really have to consistently take it nonstop before I'm like, oh, finally some relief. So, for me, like, if I drink a really high pH water, completely goes away instantly.
Oh.
Immediately.
Interesting.
So, I'll do that, like Essentia or anything that has around 9 pH or higher, and then Tums pretty much kills it instantly. So, yeah, I could probably prevent it, but it's one of those things just like my allergy medicine. If I skip a day, I'm done. So,
yeah, correct.
You know, it's just kind of like, damn, I wish it was a little bit easier, but when it's really bad, I actually burp constantly like Rick from Rick and Morty. Like every sentence, I'm like,
See, I don't get those symptoms. For me, it's just 100% always acid in the back of my throat.
Yeah.
Just whenever I forget to take my medicine.
It's pretty cool. Really enjoyable. Or if I'm like, oh, I didn't eat anything today and I've just had coffee, like, yeah, that's the worst thing possible. So, and I eat enough spicy food to know that it's not really spicy food doing it. It's just my body hating me. So we just have the big old dangler here on the back. It's the anatomic.
You know the only thing I can probably drink that even blows through my medicine, which does a good job? Orange juice. If I drink orange juice, it's a death sentence. It's rough.
Yep. Weirdly, like, I got this mango juice drink. I forget where I bought it. Some gas station. And it was great. I was, like, taking a couple sips. I'm like, wow, this is really good. And then within seconds, my body's like, fire! Just, oh, my God. It was so bad. It was terrible, man. But that's what we deal with. I'm sure mine is, well, I know mine is stress-induced. If I start getting stressed out, it's, like, immediate.
That's fair, yeah, me too.
Immediate. So, which could be an ulcer, but
that's my joke with my fiance. I'm like, man, you're giving me heartburn right now.
Yep.
You gotta stop.
Yeah, that was the thing that cracked me up, was the realizing why I started coughing all the time. And they're like, yeah, it's heartburn. I'm like, what? They're like, yeah, it's your body not knowing how to handle that, and you just start coughing. All right. Base coated. So we're just going to wait for this to dry. We will be applying a bit of a wash all over the body. Until then, we can do a base coat on the hair. Gaviscon liquid. Yeah, Gaviscon works really, really well, actually. Let me see. Dun, da, da, da. Grapefruit extract. Grapefruit seed. I'll have to look into that, Vax.
Yeah, me too. Because, I mean, if I can not take omeprazole, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just to handle it. You know, something natural would be great.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and use a intense brown here to base coat the hair. And I feel like I didn't go as high on the highlights as I could have with her on the skin and stuff, so we'll probably go a little bit brighter. That's kind of been what we've been doing anyway. It's kind of funny. This whole month, I'm like, let's just go brighter. Let's go a little bit brighter. So we'll probably do that as well. So, gallstones. Oh, well, could be. I guess I could go see it. I do have insurance right now. in the world of a self-employed person, that's such a rare statement, but
that it is.
I do have insurance right now. But we'll check on that in a month or two.
Yeah, I love the right now qualifier.
Yeah, right now, because I haven't missed one payment and they haven't kicked me off. So there you go. That's kind of how that works. But all right, so we're just going to do this all over the hair. And then after I do the hair, I'm going to go back and put this on the ears as well. But I knew to be doing the hair, so I'm not too concerned with it. Yeah, I go to a doctor right now. They're like, great, why are you here? I'm like, well, I kind of have heartburn. They're like, go home. Go home. Why'd you come here?
Yeah,
You shouldn't be here. Go home.
Our buddy who actually works at some hospital in Dallas, I don't know which one, they were saying that basically they canceled all non-emergency surgeries.
Yep.
Just to kind of, create distancing.
What's interesting, too, so my roommate's mother had to go to the ER on Saturday because something happened with her hip, I believe, was the information that I heard. And so then they call back, and they're like, okay, so we pretty much had to drop her off at the door because everybody... I see what's happening. We didn't turn off something's not set to auto. Or wait, something's changing. What is it?
Is it exposure?
No, it's weird. It's everything is turned off, but it's definitely moving.
It's shifting? Yeah, I've noticed that last couple of times with Ann.
That's fine.
So once again, cannot put my stamp of approval on this camera.
Yeah. I just noticed that every time I put my hand by the camera, it's like womp womp.
Yeah. So basically,
Womp womp.
it is cheaper than the camera that Ann has, but Ann's camera doesn't do any of this stuff. So.
Yeah. But yeah, they were told at the door no one can come in other than the person that's affected at a hospital. So like, her family couldn't come in to make sure she was checked in. Any of that, they were just like, you are not allowed to come inside, and that's the deal. So, and that was like somewhere in Dallas, but. Like I was telling Justin before we got started, I have two friends that work at ERs, one in Oklahoma City, one in Norman, Oklahoma, and they're all doing the same thing too. So, makes sense. If you don't need to be there, you shouldn't be there. So,
yeah, who hangs out at a hospital for no reason?
Right. All right, so I am going to have to go in with 2 coats on the hair because I went a little bit thin, so no big deal. As the chat said, better safe than sorry. I always go with a little bit thin paint. Go back in, touch up some spots here, so we'll get the ears. We are going to do the all-over body wash, of course.
Not the all-over.
Not the all-over. At least it happens very early in the miniature painting process this time around. So, but yeah, covered pretty much everything that I would care to. Let's see. Yep. All right, we're just going to wait. I'm going to do, let me see. We're going to coat this.
I love this purple contrast with the red hair.
Red hair, it's brown, but you are correct. No, you're correct. So it's a
Yeah.
very reddish orange hair.
I was about to say, I assume you're going for the red hair look, right?
And that's why we have green as
Ooh.
our other color, because all 3 of them together work really well. So
Yeah, it looks good. I like it. I like it a lot.
But I should be able to. I needed to completely remake the file for the colorblind stuff because someone requested one in poster format, which I did not have at all, which means I have to remake the entire thing. And I should have a little bit more time. Unfortunately, I have had multiple people cancel commissions the last few days because conventions have been canceled. So I lost money there, but that just means I'll have more time to do other stuff like that. So, oh well, oh well. It's not anybody's fault. It's just how life goes. So, hair is looking cool. Probably coat that here in a minute or two. Nah, we shaved the non-Twitch friendly portion of her torso off, so
Yeah.
made sure to take care of that first time around.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Yeah, everyone at home is enjoying a little bit more explicit version of the miniature if you're painting along. So,
What do I do with these nipples?
well, they do make a color for it, and definitely set the bar when it came to painting those, but. Let me see. This weekend, we actually used that color, I believe. So this weekend on Patreon, we did a subtle object source lighting class. So you can see the miniature for that here. We did Cyrex Cyborg Assassin. I don't know where my focal point is really because he's smaller, but you can see what's going on. Did some simple layering work, some cool sort of, not necessarily non-metallic metal. We just did a slightly reflective surface for his outfit. I actually put a decal on his arm and it fell out and fell off like the second I was like, hey, let's check the decal, I wiped it off, so it was really funny. But we did that later this month. I believe the weekend, whatever weekend hits the 30th, that Monday, so like the 28th, I believe, that class will be more advanced object source lighting. That'll be really cool too, starting at that $10 tier. So, but for anyone that is wondering, right, we do 3 classes at least. We are 90% of the way to doing 4 classes a month at the $10 level, so that's really cool. If it keeps growing, we will hit that and just add more cool stuff for people to do. And then I also decided that I'll be doing a free class as well, or 2, over the next couple weeks, just to keep people entertained that are stuck at home. So yeah, the 28th. Thank you, Dragonheart. So we'll have some free classes for people. Just make sure you follow me on Facebook under Mini Painting Studio. That's where that stuff will go live. I'll make an event there as well so people can have that, remind them, and everything like that too. So.
Oh, thank you for the raid, Monkeys with Fire.
Thank you. But I'm not sure what the topic will be about. I got some people giving me some ideas. We're just going to kind of figure that out as we go. So, applying my secondary coat here on the hair. Just make sure it's nice and solid before we wash the whole mini. Big thank you as well to everybody that is buying stuff off of Amazon using my link. That's really, really helpful. Hair color is just intense brown. It's our default brown.
Oh, look, Sydney's made it. Hello, Sydney.
Hello, Sydney. Sydney's house flooded last night, so she's now also working from home.
F's in chat for Sydney's house.
F's in chat for Sydney's house. She'll be okay. She was really worried. I was like, it's cool. We'll be able to handle it. Things flood.
Yeah, right now, a flood seems kind of docile, doesn't it?
Yeah, right. But it was in her bedroom, so it was definitely like,
oh,
what do I do? And it was right when she was going to bed.
Was it like ankle deep?
No, so it was coming down like the side of the house, like through the window. Ooh. Really weird, and then dripping into, like down the wall and then into that side of the floor. So like the carpet needs to be replaced or dried out or whatever. You know, they're going to have to call in an HVAC, like carpet dude, right? So, and they said they are tomorrow, but because that's the thing, like she's never dealt with that before, but yeah, if you're renting anywhere and there's water like that, they immediately have to do, like, that's a big issue that they need to fix. So we're just waiting for that to dry and we'll wash it all over. The miniature today is Sherilith Spider Demoness, if I'm remembering her full name completely, but she is available in the March Miniature Monday kit. I don't know if there's a general command, so there's prep, and then is there exclamation point MM, I think maybe, is the one to do that. I'm not 100% sure.
Say that again.
Is it exclamation point MM for the general Miniature Monday info?
Let me check here. I think it is, yes.
Because I think there's one that's the general info, one that's the prep, and then there's one for me. So there are like 3. I don't remember, but.
Oh, mini painting.
So mini painting is me. And then here is, well, there's a link to the kit, so that way you know the kit. It doesn't tell you exactly the miniature that we're painting today, but it'll show you everything that we have in the kits if you're interested. So the finished version is right here. So this is what we're aiming for. I think we're going to go a little bit brighter on her today, just because it always takes me a little bit longer to paint the stuff at home the first time around, and then once I sort of know what I'm dealing with, obviously, then I can go back and knock it out quicker, and then engaging with the chat adds some extra time. So, but it was funny because Sydney had some additional things that she needed to put in with work orders that I'm like always like, hey, did you put in that work order? And she's like, and then last night on the phone, she's like, time to put in that work order. Like, yeah. But rather than being put at the end of a list, though, that's obviously like, cool. Let's get in there real quick and figure out what's going on. So now then, the color that we're going to use for the wash, Honestly, what I'm going to do, I'll just make it now. It's not going to go anywhere. So I just have Noir Black in that same purple that we just used. I'm going to wash it into kind of like a middle purpley gray color. Remember, I have flubber consistency on the palette. I know you guys see that here. I did a private lesson with Stuart. You guys have seen him in the chat before. I know you've seen him post on Facebook in the Reaper group as well. That was one of the things that he is struggling with, is getting our flubber consistency for washes. However, it was identified that he uses, I believe, the Redgrass wet palette paper, which is very similar to fine art palette paper, like the Masterson's paper as well, which is a more porous surface, which absorbs more paint than the parchment paper that I'm using. So if you're at home and you've been trying to get your paint to act the same way, whenever I'm doing this with the wash and you see it pull back together like it's elastic, that's probably the issue that you're having, right? Is that it's a separate material underneath, and it's not going to interact the exact same way. Now, you can obviously thin your paint the exact same way. Lots of people do that using the different kinds of palette paper available. It just won't physically do the same movements that I'm doing on parchment paper. So, and again, if you just want to try parchment paper, you will have so much extra if you just go spend the $3 on the little folded parchment paper sheets, and then, because they come in 4 parts, so you get a ton of them at a time, and just give it a shot. I mean, it'll be $3 and change, $4, potentially wherever you live. It shouldn't be too much of an expense for you, at least to experiment and see which you prefer, right? Because the sponges are all the same. It's just, or essentially the same. It's just a matter of which paper you use. So, but that was interesting to figure out that difference, because I know a lot of people were like, I can't get mine to do the flubber thing. Well, that probably explains it if you're using a different base paper material. So, but this looks pretty good. I'll probably go a little bit thinner. But if I had to guess, what we'll do is we'll apply it, and then I will just add water on top of the areas of the wash where I want it to kind of separate more and get out of our way. But beyond that, I'm looking at where we can start to apply it. We're almost there. A couple more minutes. I can start to apply it, though, in other areas. What I'm afraid of is it's not dark enough. I'm going to get a little bit more of our Noir Black here. You can use Nightmare Black. You just need to use much less of it. So if you would like to use your Nightmare Black, you can. If you had one of the early core kits that came with it. But just know you need less added in than I'm adding with our Noir Black. So Noir Black definitely has a mind of its own. So I'm just going to make a big old nasty mess here with my brush. You know what's funny is the one thing that I always got in trouble for in college in my fine art classes is that I would never use a palette knife. And that's kind of like the one thing they tell you is like, hey, always use a palette knife because your paint won't be as mixed, or it won't be as consistent. Your application won't be consistent when you're painting, especially with oils, thick acrylic, whatever. And so my palettes always looked insane. I would make a huge mess. I'd be mashing brushes everywhere. And, you know, the easiest way to destroy your brush. So this is a brand new brush. I got multiple new brushes over the weekend. And the one thing that you don't want is to get paint stuck in the tip at that metal part, because it makes all the bristles expand and then they start to break because they don't hold that same cohesive shape. And what's funny is just the way that I just subconsciously mix paint is like the worst thing you can do for brushes like this, regardless of the thickness or consistency of the paint itself. So it's funny that I'm like, well, maybe I should use a little palette knife or something like that, but I use so much water when I paint, it's easier to kind of mix it together otherwise than trying to fold it with a knife. You can't really do that with really wet paint. But all of that being said, for no reason, we'll go ahead and apply it on to the body. I feel like it needs to be darker, but it's okay. I said we were going to go lighter today. We're going to go lighter today. So taking our dark color and just washing it all over the miniature to get it into the joints and crevices, everywhere it needs to be. I'm avoiding the top of the chest right now only because it's still wet, right up underneath the natural armor plating on the chest there. That's how we're gonna run that one. Areas where I'm applying too much of that darker color, I'm going back on top directly with water and then just letting it run, because that will still give us the good contrast that we're looking for. We can always go back in and glaze in a deeper shadow wherever we think we need it to. equally, totally fine technique. At this point, we just need to get dark in there. Now, you could, I suppose, I don't know, you could have gone relatively dark to begin with and then dry brushed your way up, but we're not really doing that here, so. We're not dry brushing around these parts. Most of you guys have figured that out. We literally haven't done it. We've overbrushed some stuff, but that's about it. I think the issue is when I was a early painter, I sort of stunted my growth as a painter by getting too reliant on dry brushing and washes. And so there was a period of time for a few years where like my painting only went so far because I just in my head I was like, hey, this is cool and this is what I like. Now, of course, I wanted to be a really great painter. Like that was my whole goal. So that obviously is not conducive for that. Now, if you don't really care about that and you like, whatever level you're at and you do all that stuff, it's all good, right? But I think that's kind of what shaped my attitude towards it, is just because I knew that I was just stuck, and it took me forever to realize like, oh, maybe I should move away from the things I'm comfortable with, and that may increase my ability to do other things. So now then, I'm just taking a bunch of water and I'm putting it all on top here so that I have an area to sort of bridge the gap with the wash paint and just water. We've seen this happen before when we worked on the Warg the first time, on the Yeti's body, different instances we've been able to do that. So I'm going to do the same thing again on this side. Just make sure it's dark. Wash it across on top. Just some water. I pulled the water from the palette itself. And there you go. We'll be able to get a nice transition just from mixing in the water into the areas where we applied the actual paint itself. Shouldn't get too much tea staining. I got like no tea staining on the other miniature, so should be just fine. Remember, you just want an even surface tension and you will avoid those issues. Now then, we do not currently have a free right now because we were doing sub matching, right? So every 10 subs, was it?
Sub matching?
Like to do a free, it was 10 subs and then a kit goes away, or was that only last week?
That was just last week. We could probably do it this week. I haven't been tracking this episode, though.
Okay. That's fine. I was just making sure because I'm just seeing the free train start. So
people love their hashtag freeze.
Yes.
We can do another giveaway of kits next week. That's not a problem.
There you go. Yeah, unless we sort of announce it at the beginning. There is no secret giveaway.
Correct. Yeah. No, you're never going to type that in and go, oh, you've activated our trap card.
Yeah.
Of giveaways. Although that would be fun and interesting.
Have a secret word. I do appreciate everybody that went into the YouTube comments. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, I did. And a huge influx. So thank you guys for that.
I loved all of the, because what was funny is I went on there. I forget what I wanted to look at. Oh, I was sending an example. So the game Conquest by Parabellum Games. I'm in communication with them, sort of back and forth, to see if there's some promo work that I can do with using some of this stuff, a partnership on content, whatever the case is. And they wanted some examples, right, of some of my content that I make, whatever. So I was like, cool, I'll send them a Miniature Monday deal. And so I went back and I loaded up that episode, and I was like, what is going on? Like, what are all these comments? And then I remembered, right, okay.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Me too. It took me a solid second. I was like, why are they repeating this? And then I remembered what we had talked about.
Yeah. Now, what I didn't see is the request for the, I forget what the request for it was like, this is such an informative and helpful video. It saved my life. 2020 with like all the keyword hashtags, but it's okay. We'll get there one day. What I'll do is I'll put a post out somewhere and I'll just be like, just copy and paste this. All right, so now we're going after the hair here. Same really muted color. You could go with a darker brown if you wanted. Painter's choice, but for the most part, I'm just going to be using the same level of contrast for everything. So that is the idea. We were going to do some Warlord today, but the scheduling around here has changed a bit. So we're just sort of playing it all by ear. I feel like at this point the Warlord streams are like a meme. We're like, yeah, we're going to do it, totally. And then every week it's like, well. Well, I even brought the most intimidating list. Well, I was going to bring the most intimidating list ever with just 2 miniatures to defeat Collins. So, at some point, I'll try and make that happen. I'm sure he'll bring his swarm list in response, but not too awfully concerned. I helped somebody else put together a Warlord army as well, so they've got a 1,000-point force for ReaperCon ready to rock and roll. So that's really cool. Remember, if you don't know what Warlord is, if you're interested in getting in on more of the action, you can always join that Facebook group. Just in the search bar on Facebook, type in Reaper's Warlord with an apostrophe, and you'll find it. Thank you, Varl B. Gem, for another sub. All right, so we're just going to wait and let all of that washy goodness dry, and we'll highlight it up a little bit more. Hey, Jacob.
Hey, Jacob, how you doing?
Taking the wash and tapering it back.
Oh, Jojen, I meant to ask, what map did you put on for that? I'm playing like a mix of PoE, Classic WoW, and like Division 2 right now, but maybe even a little Tarkov. I don't really have time for Arc just yet, but
You just listed so many games that
I
require
did.
so
There's
much time.
so many, I mean,
You're like, COVID's never been so good.
I wasn't quite gonna say that, but yeah, you're right. No,
Honestly, so I was talking to Sydney last night. I was like, hey, why is Steam not running like a crazy sale? Now, Borderlands 3 just came out. They're running that 50% off right now.
really?
I was like, that's smart, because everyone's going to buy it.
Wow, I didn't know they were doing that. That's crazy.
50% off right now, yeah.
I need to pick that up.
Yeah, exactly, because buying anything at 60, I'm like, oof. Like that's still...
I'm with you, yeah.
I grew up when 60 was like unheard of,
Yeah.
So anything that's under 60, I'll like 45, maybe 49.99. I'm like, all right, that's like the top of my tower, but seeing that sale, I was like, that's pretty cool. But that's funny that you think I only have one army, Jacob. That's so funny, because by ReaperCon, I'm going to have 4. So it's funny you feel that way, my friend. What I'm doing right now is I'm just monitoring my wash application, making sure it didn't pool weird anywhere, or avoid pooling in some sections, is underneath this arm right here. It was sort of avoiding that.
Yeah, Max, go ahead and PM me your Uplay info, so we can, because I've been doing
Uplay,
the
God.
Uplay. Yeah, I know it sucks, but the Division expansion's been kind of fun. I liked it, or am liking it.
Division 2?
Yeah,
I never picked up Division 2.
I mean, if you played the first one, it's really just more the first one. It's not
Like
anything
Vermintide
special.
2?
It is. It's nothing special.
My friends and I, we were so excited about Vermintide 2. And man, you should have seen it. We were like a dance crew with Vermintide 1. Like, we knew every beat to hit. We're running stuff on the hardest mode. We're like, here we go. Vermintide 2 comes out. We blow through everything in like the same day.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right. Okay.
Time to repeat it.
Great. Thanks. That was a great $50 investment. Actually, it wasn't that expensive. I think Vermintide 2 was $30 when it came out. That company's actually pretty cool.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And they don't do cash. They do like very small expansions, like packs of 3 maps for like $10. And
John, in before GameStop closes before it launches. Womp womp.
womp, womp, womp. I don't have a Switch, so I can't play Animal Crossing.
You might be able to download it off the Nintendo store though. Maybe.
All right, let's see. You can only travel with 2 armies, Jacob. Yeah, but you also have, like, your armies are going to be fun. So I was looking at the Nefzakar list again last night, and I was like, well, I guess that one I'll just stick with, because I want to do a lot of things with Nefzakar, but like really when it comes to selecting your warlord, it dictates 100% how you're going to play that army. The Revan list that I have, or not Revan, sorry, the Reptus list that I have is just gross. Like, not a lot of spell casting, but it's definitely just annoying, like stuff that's not going to die. And then my secret Sophie-themed army is going to be awful, and people are going to hate me for it, but you just got to deal with it. And then the other army, well, and then Sydney has her own army too. The Bloodstone Gnomes are just like an all-over hilarious mess. And then my other army I haven't announced yet is the dumbest list I can possibly run, but it should be entertaining for whoever plays me. So, but waiting on that, what we're going to do is we're going to mix some of our spider goo. So I don't remember. What was it? What did we mix? We mixed this and jungle moss, correct? Yes. So I'm going to take some alien goo and some jungle moss, 50-50. 50-50 mix of the two to get our spider goo. Spider goo. Sadie better take notes over here. We're inventing colors for her.
Yeah, there we go. Let's do it.
Chat loves spider goo. There you go. All right, so you can tell here we have sort of this nice little gradient from dark green to lighter green. We're going to punch it up on this one, but we'll just go ahead and coat the front of the arms here with this darker color first. You could do these colors differently if you would like. Really up to you. I know I saw Joni paint her spider, and she did the little tiny claws red, which I thought was cool. It's always fun to see your little spin on the miniatures. She also did, she painted the little arm mushrooms on the fungoid with its arms down. She painted those red, like mushroom caps as well, so it was cool. Cool to see a variation. Now, I should have, I think at ReaperCon, I'll grab all of these for Miniature Monday and we'll have them together so you guys can come see them too. And then you can also show me any of them that you have if you're going to bring some. I'll have my finest detail brush so I can autograph your miniatures. I'm kidding. Just kidding. I would love to see somebody make a diorama out of a kit though, and then enter that into a category. I feel like that would be really, really cool. I know Ed supposedly is going to start doing that with Terrain Tuesdays at some point, so it'll be neat to see what he comes up with as well if he makes something out of a kit.
I don't know what he'll be doing so he's not doing the show tomorrow.
Right.
I think he might do the show next Tuesday if he feels better. But I do not know. It's kind of up in the air right now.
What's he sick with?
He said he had a whole head cold.
Ah. Yeah, my allergies, I had a headache that literally made me feel sick. Like I couldn't open my eye. Like it was so strong for a while and then finally went away after a few hours, so. Yeah,
let me turn on the Josh's stuff command because I thought it was on.
Josh's, I thought so too. I think it's hashtag, or not hashtag, I think it's mini painting is the one that has all my stuff, maybe. I'm not sure. But to answer your question, Quinny, so this is a brand new brush. It was funny, I mentioned it previously. I got brand new brushes in the mail over the weekend. I go through brushes every 6 to 8 months or so. But this is a Da Vinci Maestro, and the link is in the chat there for you as well. The Amazon list that you just see posted multiple times, thanks everybody, that Amazon list has these brushes. Now, pretty much you only need 3 of them for everything you'd ever need. When I buy them, I buy multiples of the size 1, and then I buy 1 size 0 and 1 size 2. That being said, I go through brushes like crazy. So if I was like maybe once or twice a week painter, once or twice a week for maybe like an hour, 2 hour painter, right? These brushes would last you over a year easily with some very simple care. These are Sable brushes. I believe Anne uses the same series often as well. I know I've seen her talk about Da Vinci Maestro Series 10. She also talked about a Series 35 one time being a little bit too long. 35, I believe, works as well for miniature painters. I do think she is correct saying that they're probably too long in general with the bristles. There you go. But for a lining brush, it's awesome. These are the Fuller English Round is the terminology. Sorry, I'm literally pulling off this sticker. But, there we go. But they're very, very nice. and I do suggest as well brush cleaner. I did update the Amazon store too, by the way, so there's a huge 24-ounce container of the brush cleaner that like no one ever recommends, and I didn't know it was a thing either, and I bought one, so that's on the store now. And then I'm trying to think what else I added. Oh, I added the additional drill bits. I actually found them available on Amazon. I bought mine at Harbor Freight, and I didn't know if they existed anywhere else. So if you bought the hand drill that I use for pinning, I also added an extended set that gives you a bunch of small drill bits for that drill that are better than the default kit. So, but I think the Series 10 works better than the 35. I used the 35s for a little bit until I just started buying Series 10 only. But this is a great brush. It's a little bit costly. I mean, I think they're like 14 bucks or so with free shipping. You can also get it with a tube, and it becomes 16 bucks. But currently, Amazon is shipping them without the tube in a individual bag with the plastic tip on top. So just like this, but in a bag. This is how it was shipped to me. Previously, Amazon was pulling that off and just shipping you destroyed brushes, so I stopped buying them. But they ended up doing this instead, and I think that's probably the best way. So, but yeah, this one, this is what I always recommend. So, good question. And that's a great question because it was perfect for all of our stuff to dry, so we can get started on the rest of the mini. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rotate my palette here so I have a fresh, actually we got to do a full rotation. For those of you wondering how much water's in the wet palette all the time, you can see we got lake palette here. Almost too much water. But let's see where are we at. So I'm going to get the amethyst purple. We're going to be highlighting up to amethyst purple, doing it pretty thinly. All right, so. All right, where should we begin? Oh, I got to make sure these legs are dry. Of course, I'm grabbing them like a monster immediately. Okay, so using the same principles that we followed when we worked on the ice troll or whatever that big old troll boy was from kit number 1. I'm going to take a little bit of our darker color that we used for the wash. I'm going to mix it in with our amethyst purple. 50-50. I would say that you don't want this to be, you want it to be a nice middle line between the color that we have right now and where we're headed. So, first area I'm going to apply the highlight is going to be directly in between the chest there under the necklace. And I want it to dry in the direction of the center of the chest. So all of my brush strokes are going to be headed in that direction. That ensures that any tapering happens with the pigment being pushed in the direction of the gradient that I would like. So you can see I'm pushing the brush at a 45-degree angle towards the center of the chest. And that will help push the paint in the direction that I need it to dry. Following it down, there is some sort of, I don't know if I would call it abs, but there is some musculature sculpted into the center of her abdomen as well. So I'm sort of following that along. And then underneath, there's this little chain ornamental whatever she's wearing, her spider web chain deal. I'm going to highlight that up a little bit, and then a little bit of each section. Now, down here, this is probably as bright as any of these sections are going to go. Mostly because it's down on the miniature a lot further. And with a miniature this big, a lot of people run into issues like, how do you cover the entire thing with paint, right? Like there's so many different things that you have to actually do to kind of get nice base coating, nice color effects, whatever. With something this large, so it's large, but it's not bulky, other than obviously the huge object hanging off its butt. But if it isn't really, really bulky, it's much easier to deal with something that's been shaded down a lot and just controlling the amount of highlights. So you're not painting the whole thing, fully lit all the way around its body. Instead, you can kind of focus in on the highlights that you are trying to achieve. So on top of the chest here, applying a highlight. I was hoping that wasn't a divot in the mold, but it looks like it is. So we're going to have to be a little bit more clever on how to apply it. Does her right hand touch her abdomen? Her abdomen's right there. So no.
Oh, maybe. Hold on.
You mean the thorax, the big,
Yeah, I
big
think
butt
that's what they're
part?
referring to, the big old butt.
Right.
And does it actually touch it? Out of curiosity?
On one it did, the other one it didn't. So you can see on this one, her arm sort of floats right there, and then on this one it touches. So it just depends on your miniature. I don't think it makes a difference. I mean, if you don't want it to touch, I didn't care about it. So
Danchin, you should be able to, with some hot water, you should be able to.
did you say hot water?
Hot water,
Get some hot water.
and then dip it in there and kind of reposition it if you'd like to.
So I'm applying the highlight here on this flesh armor orb number 1. Is that how we'll refer to it in chat?
Flesh armor orb.
Flesh armor orb.
I'm using that again.
There you go. And flesh armor orb number 2 over here. Gotta be family friendly when you're a partner. Even though I don't think that's true.
Yeah, that's
They
not
they
even
pick and
remotely
choose
true.
big time. Yeah.
They do, yeah.
But going back in with the same color now that the first application that I did is dry. Okay. Highlighting it up nicely. Hey, drink. Heartburn killing me. Oh, pinning a dragon and it died. Oh, that's terrible.
Wish I still had Tums up here. I ran out last week.
Oof. Yeah, I've been like slowly putting stuff in that box that I bring. Just thinking like, oh, there's some Tylenol in there if I need it, like whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm.
I should throw some in there. I should know better. Now moving on to the fronts of the legs here. Now then, this looks a lot brighter than it actually is. This is really, really wet paint. So as it dries, it's going to dilute and be very transparent. So it's not going to dry as saturated as you're seeing it right now. Right now it looks like straight up amethyst purple, but you can tell the other parts of the body that have dried, it's really, really not that bright. Just like Justin. So we're going to do the tops.
Got him.
Got him.
Got him.
So we're going to do the tops here of these little spindly leggy wags. Spindly legs of justice. Oh, hey, Justin.
What's up, buddy?
Do you want to be a part of a one-shot quarantine D&D game we're going to do online? Probably in a week or 2 weeks.
It's a one-shot?
Yep. One time only.
What system?
5th edition. Which pretty much means you don't need to know how to play.
Oh, well then, I guess tentatively sign me up.
Okay, cool. We're going to do it on a fantasy ground, so the software does it all for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just let me know when and where, I guess.
Yeah, you just have to be on Discord. But yeah, we're trying to put together a little fun everybody's home game. And then I think we're gonna theme it pretty well too. We'll probably end up doing like everyone's fungoid people or something funny like that. So, but I know I'm trying to put it together. I got a message about doing something like that this morning. So, if it's just a one shot, we should have a fun time. All right, moving along nicely here. All right. Now then, if you are an extremely brave person, you could try and highlight up the entire big old bobber on the back of her body, right? However, My idea was to not do that and instead don't make your life difficult and just highlight up the spine. So all the little spikes on it, because that will create more of a contrast than you potentially ruining all the fun with a bunch of brush strokes, which is what would happen if I did it right now. So I'm not really trying to mess with that. So we're just going to highlight up all of the little spines on it. If you have an airbrush or something like that, you can obviously pss, pss, real quick and it'll connect the dots for you. But beyond that, we're just going to do these little bumpy wumps, and it should be relatively nice. Onto the arm. Haven't done anything on the arms yet, so I'm just focusing on the top part of the arms, everything like that. Like so. Sorry, the camera has to be moved back a little bit more so than normal, obviously, for today. I mean, this is a big old mini. I'm trying to think about the miniatures that we have coming up in the future. Now, this one is just sort of round, right? It takes up a round space in the world. The miniatures that we have slated for upcoming kits in the future, there are a few that are big, but they're more so just like tall. So it should be easy to film those. This one's just a little bit too wide to make it simple. I did see someone ask about the next kit. Whenever that is ready and figured out, obviously we'll make the official announcements for it. I do know that the first one, though, since I had talked about it last week, is jungle themed. So that'll be pretty cool whenever that rolls around. And it's not like what you would expect for a jungle theme to be. So I think that's kind of the fun part, is like, even me telling you that's what it is, you're probably not going to guess what's in the kit. So, all right. Other arm here. I'm obviously highlighting using her jewelry as a frame of reference. So you could ignore the jewelry if you would like and just highlight on top of it and then go back and paint on top where her jewelry is. That's a totally fine technique. It's the same way as whenever we do fur. I don't focus on doing every individual strand. I just paint the whole thing and then detail it out later. Same idea there. If it's stressful for you, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But that is pretty much it for this level of color. Now we can go back in and move on to the amethyst purple. So you can see the difference between the two. The one on the left is at full amethyst purple. The one on the right is still that in-between step. Now what I will do is go in a tiny bit with this color on the face. The face itself is so small in terms of the areas of color transition that it doesn't really make too much of a difference for me to go in and use this color and start highlighting things up, only because the only noticeable drastic highlighting will be done with the amethyst purple directly. But you could go in if you would like a little bit. It's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm really only doing the cheekbone, down the sides of the mouth, down the side of the nose, and then the very bottom of the jaw gets a little bit too. But that's only to give it shape. Not really a highlight, just to give your eye a little bit more context at what it's looking at. So now then, I'm clean the brush. We're only going to be rocking with direct amethyst purple. You know, we could mix amethyst purple a little bit with rosy shadow. I feel like that would go well if you wanted it to be a little bit fleshy. If you didn't want her to be a drow specifically, right, a dark elf, whole body's purple, maybe you shift it a little bit more in a different direction, whatever you want to do with that. But at least for now, I think amethyst purple on its own should be totally fine. So working with amethyst purple, I would say 2 parts amethyst purple, 1 part water is the consistency I'm working with for now, only because this is a heavily pigmented Reaper color, so there's a lot of paint inside of that host medium, or pigment, sorry, is the term we really need. So applying it gently up here in the center of the chest, you can see the drastic jump in saturation and lighting that we have added now. That's why I'm going with much thinner paint, and I'm pushing it the same way that I did in the direction that I want it to taper and dry. Now then, again, I will show you up close exactly what that means when I'm describing pushing at a 45-degree angle. Now, of course, just ignore me literally pulling the paint away there at the edges, but 45-degree angle means, let's pretend this is my painting surface, top of my hand. I'm literally taking the brush, putting it, and then pushing it like this, and then moving it towards the right, and that means the paint will pile up and taper in this direction. If I wanted it to go the other way, I would need to push it the other way, right? But assuming you're using a Sable real hair brush, very easy technique to do. If you're using a synthetic brush, your brush may be too strong. It may be too plasticky, bendy, whatever, for you to really easily do that. If that's the case, just do it how you normally do it. It's no big deal. It's just a little bit of a cheeky, quick move that you can pull to kind of speed up your highlight process. Taking the same color now, we're going into the top sections of all of the areas where she has her body jewelry, tapering that down accordingly. I'm not worried about keeping my sort of sectioning here perfect in between all the jewelry, just because we are going to have to go back in, obviously, to do the painting of the actual chains she's wearing, so it could get messed up there along the way. So I'm just kind of throwing it in, not really concerned. Going back in for a second coat underneath the round flesh body orbs, whatever term we had figured out for that.
Also, Mini Maven, no, those have not been established just yet.
Justin's distracted. He didn't hear the whole conversation about April's kid that we had.
I guess not, no.
It's okay, you were typing.
I was.
His phone also went off and started talking to him.
It did. It was a stupid WFAA alert thing.
Ah.
But apparently they want you to have a news article, but they want to just overlay crappy ad videos on top that you can't stop.
I love it.
Like those old tabs that, it's like, where's the tab at? Where's it at?
I love it when it's like breaking news and you click it and they're like, hey, you're using an ad blocker, right? I'm like, yeah, I love it. And they're like, we're not going to let you see it. I'm like, cool, this is when I leave.
Yeah,
I go anywhere else.
Because you're the only one with this information, right?
They're like, if you just pay us $3 a month, it's like, dude, hey, that means you're not getting advertising people to put ads on your website fast enough. That's not our fault.
Fact.
But as you can see.
Well, then, quick, highlight me while I was typing. What did you?
So I said nothing has been confirmed for sure in terms of release, whatever that is. Like, we'll make the official announcement, but I do know that it is jungle themed. So.
Oh yes, that is okay. Right,
Yes.
I did actually know that.
There you go. And we know it's a jungle, and it's not probably what you would guess is in a jungle. So it's kind of the trade-off.
And because of the maybe because of the virus thing and maybe some other stuff, we may have to do some reorganization. So there could be a couple of weeks where we get our stuff together, where there's not a show on Monday that's this, right?
Yeah, it really depends on.
Correct.
So I'm sure we will have some kind of vibe, nothing concrete, but we'll be able to at least make a guess for you guys on the extra bonus episode where we're working on the dragon, right?
Correct.
So like we'll have an idea then, but the way it stands now, like it may not, like the kits probably won't be immediately available the week ahead. So it's just everything shifting around here. Obviously, everything in the entire world is shifting all over the place. So, we're just kind of hanging out and taking it one day at a time, as I believe everybody should. So.
Correct.
But Zip, you missed out. Zip zap. So I have to remake the entire thing, and that's why. I just haven't had time. And then I had mentioned earlier too, so I'm losing business because of the Covoid stuff. So since some conventions have recently been canceled, I've lost some commissions. So I now have to scramble to make back money. So my time is now being invested in, not being homeless, and making sure I somehow keep bringing in cash, since I'm now like losing the back end of some commissions that I was going to finish in the next 2 weeks or so, which is why getting on the Patreon would really, really help me out, guys. Thank you so much. But so even I'm being affected by it. I mean, obviously, everybody that's already on the Patreon, you guys are all hanging out, so it's not too big of an issue. But on the commission side of it, I'm having to make adjustments accordingly. So, but yeah, everybody is being affected. Even though I get to work from home all the time, it's kind of like now I have to scramble and figure out like, okay, so, what am I supposed to do if people keep canceling on me? So, but either way, highlighting back up on our chest armor here. She has natural chest armor, as you can tell. Very, very thick armor plating, but I'm doing probably 2 coats up here. I'm going relatively thin just to make sure I don't go too far too fast. But you can see the highlighting that's happening. I believe on this one, I did add some of the rosy highlights, so we'll probably go back and do that as well. You can see it's relatively close to the same thing.
Max is command challenged, by the way. He's trying so hard.
Well, what we should do is we should have a little graphic that just has each one of each, just in the very bottom.
But I like watching Max struggle.
I know.
It's so great.
Everyone's really trying to get it up. I mean, I appreciate you guys.
I actually am gonna all jokes aside, I'm gonna overhaul all of those, and they're going to be more like they're gonna be shorter, and they're gonna feel more like you're typing in like a hexadecimal code, but it's gonna apply to what we're doing, so I can just number them, right?
Right.
So you know that these numbers are yours, those numbers are that show. It's gonna have more organization. It's in the pipeline.
Right as with most things that end up working pretty well, we didn't expect it to go as well as it did, right? And then now everything's going well. It's kind of like, okay, we got to play catch up and figure out the easiest way to give information out and all that good stuff. So, but the heartburn.
You know what? I think I can get you a Chewy tab if you want it. I think I know where one is. Like the little, it's like a Tums, but it's it's almost like a Starburst.
Yeah, whatever, dude.
I got you.
I'm dying. Yeah, thank you. All right, so now that Justin's gone, Mom's gone, we can have fun. We can have fun. Yeah, if you were trying to find the Patreon info, stuff like that, again, like the commissions falling through for events, like I kind of expected it. Like I get yearly clients all the time that do commissions for certain tournaments, different things like that. And in the back of my head, when I saw this happening, I was like, wow, I hope everything's cool. But I definitely have lost at this point $2,000, so that's kind of not good for me. Clearly, the Patreon has grown a lot though, so I do appreciate everybody. I know we had some new people in on the classes this weekend for subtle object source lighting. We have 2 more classes to happen this month. We have another at the $5 level, our hobby class that happens this upcoming weekend. And then we also have our advanced paint along that happens the last weekend of the month as well on the 28th. So that will be really, really fun as we work on subtle object source lighting. And well, it's really multi-source object source lighting. So we're going to have a torch. We're working on Bergamot Halfling Scout. So he has a torch, and then, I believe it's I think it's this. I think it's a whatever lantern. That's the word I'm trying to think of. And then we're going to do environmental lighting as well. So shouldn't be too difficult, but it's definitely a lot more involved in the class we did this weekend. But those are still available to you as well. And remember, if you do sign up for the Patreon, you have access to every other thing that we've done previously. So at this point, there's like 68 hours of classes that are available. What's interesting too are now the new people joining and going through videos that are like 2 years old. That stuff's really cracking me up, kind of seeing people ask me questions about that, because even I haven't thought of those in forever. So that's kind of been funny, going down memory lane, figuring out all that good stuff. So, but remember, you can check that out. You can just go to my website, minipainting.studio. Literally on the front page, it says, hey, what are you looking for? And follow it. But beyond that, you can do whatever you want. Like that's the thing. I'm appreciative of everything. I'm just trying to hold on to dear life currently. So, depending on how all this virus stuff goes, if people keep canceling, whatever, there may be a sad post on my page that says, hey, I just got a job at, I don't know, Target. I don't know, just whatever, because I may have to stop what I'm doing and just kind of get whatever I can. But I am not doom and gloom. I am optimistic. So, but anything helps. Remember too, if you're just doing your regular Amazon shopping, like literally whatever you're trying to find, like if you're trying to find gloves and you need to buy them today, if you go to minipainting.studio, click that Amazon deal, and then just buy whatever you're going to buy next, I'll get a little bit of a kickback for anything you buy, not just the stuff that's on that list. And that, of course, 60 days later, I get a little gift card, and then I turn that into cat food. So that's kind of how that works. But enough about me. I know that my situation isn't as dire as a lot of other people out there currently. So, of course, if you just physically are not able to work and get paid, I'm very, very sorry about that. Vamanaqua, I'm assuming. What kind of commissions do? I do anything. So the only difference now, I just don't do, let me think. I don't do like low end work anymore. I pretty much only offer 2 levels. And then I do have some like really high end commercial levels as well that I do for companies and stuff like that. But I only offer 2 things. But you can check that out too on the website. It's just the pricing page and it has all that info. But right now, my lead time, I have one guy that might book, and that may set my lead time way, 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 way back. But depending on what it is you're looking for, it could be anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks or 6 months, longer, depending on the size, the scope, and what level you're getting. So, but yeah, the commission aspect of it all, I've moved away from more so to focus on the Patreon and the teaching and the classes and all that stuff. So hopefully in the future, I won't have to ever do commissions except for my older clients that I've had for a while that have been nice and have continued things. So like, I know you guys saw the Manhunter from Kingdom Death. That client is actually the client that I named my highest level after, the Wheeler level. And if for those of you that know Kingdom Death, you know that game is continuing to release stuff years into the future. So he's locked in. He wants me to continue to work on his stuff. So there are people like that too that I'll continue to work with indefinitely, including different companies, stuff like that. Like I do the box art for the game Moonstone. I'll be finishing up 5 miniatures for them probably within a week or so. I've got the Pirate Crew. If you go to moonstonethegame.com, you can check out the Pirate Crew. There's a goblin named Swiggity Swooty, and he's holding a big old treasure chest. Where's the pricing page? You literally just click on commissions and it takes you to the pricing info. So we've got that troop to paint, and then I also have Brunhilde to paint for him, which is a really, really big giantess miniature. She's kind of like a Valkyrie female giantess, really, really cool. And then I also have Kaufman, who is from the Rags to Riches troop, and he is really cool as well. He has like a really smug expression. So I'll be painting those up to the studio quality, so you'll see those as well. I know you saw the first batch of like 11 miniatures or whatever. So, but so I'm trying to just move into, when it comes to commissions, people that understand what they're getting into, and then people that want the nicer work. But then everything else for me is going to be focusing on the teaching, the Patreon, and the home kits that I know I've mentioned a little bit here on stream before, but those will be, with the way that this is looking with the Covoid stuff, whatever, I mean, I'm going to really have to shuffle to make ends meet on like certain commissions moving ahead of others getting paused. Like, it's just going to be weird now that things have been canceled, completely unexpected stuff. So hopefully people are understanding about that when it comes to my clients, but I've got a couple tricks up my sleeve coming down in the pipeline. So hopefully you guys can support that. I know people that know about the plans that I have for the future are very excited. So, all right. So now we have highlighted up a lot of the different parts of our miniature here. What I'm going to do next, I do believe we should add a little rosy highlight. I think that's going to take us in a nice direction here. I am looking for it in my rack of paint. Or sorry, not rosy highlight, rosy shadow. Complete opposite, but let me see. All right. Now, I'm only going to add a little bit of this to the amethyst purple solely because I just want it to be a little bit of a hue shift, meaning I just want your eye to go, that highlights a little bit of a different color, right? Like it's a little bit more red. I'm also going to get some linen white out on the palette. I'm going to add one tiny little tip full of that, as well as the rosy shadow to barely highlight it up. Well, I know for now, Max, that discussion's not happening at all. Like, they're doing everything there's a reason why the next kits may be delayed, and it's because of the infection stuff. So if that conversation ever became a thing, it ain't happening anytime soon, sadly for me. So, Not that I don't think it's impossible. Anything's possible out there. I never thought I would be here. So, who knows? But now then, if we want to compare the color, this is what it looks like right here. Deagle, no, it doesn't matter. If you want to share it or whatever, it's totally cool. I think I even said in the prep video. So here's a comparison of the color, much lighter. But what's interesting is like figuring out kind of what am I?
There's two of them in there.
Oh wow, thank you. I thought it came to me in a very hygienic tray.
I did not touch those with my hand.
Mmm.
They have not been touched by people.
Mmm. Tastes so good. Actually, these are much better than regular Tums. So
they are. They taste a little better.
Yep.
Also, for those of you who have problems listening to people eat, you might want to like.
Oh, sorry. Wait. I got you. I have problems. I have problems with that.
Oh, okay. Well,
can you still hear it?
No, I think I'm good on this end. I don't know if maybe they're listening to it through like a giant speakers.
Right. I know that freaks me out.
But there's two there. Obviously, if you need both, you can have both. So.
Okay, there we go. But what was the last? So yeah, no, you don't have to care. Like I definitely am not the person that cares about anyone doing amazing prep work on the miniatures themselves. You do as much work as you want to do. So now then, I'm taking this final color and I'm applying it to the brightest parts of the miniature. Brightest parts of the highlights, I should say. So, not a lot, but just enough. Really, this is more to focus in on the face, just to make it appear more. Like, actually appear visually more. There was no more of that sentence. I'm sure that sounded like I was going to say, appear more vibrant. I just want it to be more visible. So, we're throwing that in. Going up underneath the eyes into the tear duct area, down to the corners of the mouth, and then down to the other side, across the chin there. I wish there was an easy way for me to illustrate, kind of. Do you have like a scratch sheet of paper?
I have sticky notes.
That will work. And I will show you guys how I always do faces. So. Oh boy.
Perfect.
All right, so let me show you what I'm talking about here. Now then, I don't have a crappy brush, and the only other brush that I see is Ed's house brush here, so I'll just use this very gently. But, all right, let's say we have a face, okay? And we've got dun, 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 two eyebrows, and then we've got dun, 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 two eyes. Wow, wow. Wow, wow, look at this. I should be a sculptor. Wowee. And then we got a nice nose like this. And then we got a nice cool mouth, right? Like wow, I got a mouth, y'all. Wowee, we got a mouth. Ha 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 ha. All right, so here's our face, okay? Now then, so we got a face. Now, where I always apply highlights, it's like clockwork, okay? Doesn't matter what the actual shape of the miniature is, whatever's going on, it'll work for you all the time. So you always want to go under the tear ducts like this. Okay, I always go right here. If you're going to go bright, you want the brightest color to be on the left and right side of the eye like this. Okay, so we want that to be the brightest area. These two spots right there. Okay, then we take our sort of middle highlight, and it always goes down to the side of the mouth, right here. You want to use this same color in this whole area, okay? Taking your brighter color, you'd hit in between right here, so you should be able to tell. In between right there, in between right there. Then brightest color on each side of the mouth like that, and then right underneath the lip on top of the chin. And that's the highlight structure every single time. Like no matter what, it will always make a realistic face.
Max and Zamie says that person looks stoned.
It looks like me on the phone with Amazon's customer service. Angry. That's the truth. What's funny is Sydney was in the house and she's sitting there listening to me do this, and her face was like she was watching like a victory. She was like, I can't believe you're set. And like, I mean, I was going at, I mean, anyway, but it was funny. Like when she sees me go after somebody like that and just catch them in a lie.
She's
like,
your hype man.
Yeah, it was like she was in the corner going, oh, got him. But, all right, so applying our brighter highlight here. Hopefully you can tell I did follow that same little formula, right? But every single time it always works. Bridge of the nose, yeah, you can do that too, always. Usually it's like this. Sorry, I'm glad you brought that up. Sorry. So, whoop. So using that same formula, okay, you're doing the nose. Brightest part is right here, underneath the brow, and on top of the nose. There you go. Do-do-do-do. That's how that goes. So, all right. I will do the eyes here. We're going to go ahead and just make them exist. These eyes are relatively big and sculpted, so I have faith that you guys will be able to make them a thing. And I'm going to go ahead and have them aimed a little bit to the right, like because that's the direction she's pointing, so pointing a little bit to the right. There you go, we got two eyes. Sweet. Cool. Now then, let's take a break from the skin. I feel like the skin is pretty much all right for where we're at currently. Now we're going to move back onto the intense brown for the hair. We're going to highlight that up. Relatively simple. How are we looking on time?
We are at 4:30.
Oh, sweet.
So we're about time.
All right.
It's good.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I wonder if this was shorter or last. All right, cool. Shorter or last. That's funny. I said a sentence that made sense in my head, but just not at all out loud. All right. Now then, this sculpt is great. Why? Because the hair is the same width as a brush. And you know, we have painted quite a lot of hair so far on the show. And every single time I always say the same thing. My favorite type of hair is the hair that is the width of a brush. So that means we are individually highlighting all of these up. I mean, if you would like, of course, if it's easier for you, just dry brush it up. It's all good. But the width of all of the strands of hair here is not too crazy. You should be able to hit it with a brush without too much issue. But we're just going through and highlighting it up. You can see the difference between the wash and the final highlight color there in the top. Mine had mold line in the hair there that I just didn't want to dig out with a scalpel during the prep video, but could have to make that appear a little bit better. Overall, though, really the only sort of struggle with this miniature specifically, of course, is the seam on the abdomen, or not the abdomen, the thorax. But again, for anybody that wants to show off a picture of their paint job or whatever, and you're not the best at seam lines, okay, not a big deal, right? Don't worry about it. Totally fine. No points taken off. It's not a big deal. Hey. She went tumbling. I know Anne says she throws her brushes accidentally, and they get tossed across the room onto the floor. I always accidentally throw miniatures. That's my biggest issue. So
That is true. We've seen it several times.
it happened with the box art for Moonstone. So
Oh boy.
a miniature broke that I couldn't repair, and I only had one, and it was shipped from the UK. So that's how that works. But luckily, Tom, who owns Goblin King Games, who does Moonstone, he's a painter himself. He's also on my Patreon. Shout out to all the Patreon folks. But we were able to. I'm like, hey, if I cut it this way, you should be able to reattach it. You can do it. Da da da. So he's going to be able to do that himself, thankfully. But boy, oh boy. When it comes to resin and Moonstone sculpts, they have some tiny little details that if you are an absolute animal like me, you need to be a little bit careful because that can happen. So 55KN. No, so this is actually one of the more expensive brushes, but it's on the Amazon list. So this is one of the DaVinci Maestro Series 10. So this is the $13 brush, $14 brush, wherever it's at now. That being said, I just like these brushes for all of my painting, but the 50 packs that are on Amazon are good brushes. I always said that you can get about, if you're just being rough with it and you don't care, you can get about 12 hours, maybe 12 to 15-ish hours of painting out of one before you may notice it sort of fraying a little bit more, or it may be curling a little bit, you're losing some hairs, whatever the case is. So, take that advice as you would, right? You would have 24-hour sessions worth of painting out of a 50 pack. I think that's a pretty good value. And actually what's funny is the people that used to watch my streams, they miss the fact that I don't use those brushes as much, because the second one of the brushes would go bad on stream, I would snap it on stream and then move on to a new one. So if you've never broken a brush before, and you just want some cheaper brushes that are really, really good, remember those 50 packs are available. They're good enough. Out of the 50, you may have like 4 or 5 of them that are just no good out of the jump, right? Because they are cheap from China. Yeah, I used to literally and just crack them on camera and have a good time with it. So, all right, now I'm going to grab a metallic. What do I want? I want antique gold. I feel like there needs to be some kind of invention that's like a safety net for when you're building miniatures that goes like around your body and under your chair, because like there'll be that moment when you snip something and you hear it bounce like 10 feet behind you.
Oh, yes.
And you're like, what just happened?
Especially on my GW models.
Yeah. So.
Like, oh, time to go find that plasma? What are those things?
You're like, it's gone now.
Yeah, it's gone now.
But that's something that I run into. Like, luckily now where I work is tile floor, so I can hear it bounce. But at my old apartment, it was carpet. So if I drop something,
it's gone forever.
Here we go for an hour, and I'm just on my hands and knees. So, all right. So what I'm gonna be doing now is just taking this brush and literally putting it everywhere. Sydney's like, I have heard him scream because he dropped something. Yeah, she heard the absolute despair in my voice on the phone one time when I'm like, I just broke this and the piece went across the room and I can't fix it. What do I do? And then she's like, what? I'm like, what do I literally keep saying on the phone, what do I do? What am I supposed to do? And she's like, oh, what am I supposed to say?
What am I supposed to do?
Right. God, I mean, my roommate had a friend in town. My roommate works in the airline industry, but from home. Okay, from home.
Yeah.
But what's funny is he had a friend last month at some point, or like at the beginning of February. She came in from Australia, and she was there when I broke that piece. And she was like, wait, what broke? And then literally both of them are also like helping search the entire floor of this. And I'm like, oh my God, guys, like, it's cool. It's cool. I can't find it. It's fine.
It's fine. Give up.
She's like, how big is it? I'm like, think of a grain of rice and then cut that in half. And she's like, ah, yeah. Okay, good luck. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so I'm just going through and lining this. Now, you can go back and wash on top, re-highlight on top. You can go with a much darker gold, like a bronze, and highlight it up, whatever the case is. Are you checking to see if John's in the chat?
Me? No, I am not.
That's funny.
I was...
John was in the chat previously.
I think he hangs out in chat typically, so I don't see why not. I'm sure he's here. Maybe not. No, I don't see him, actually.
Okay, no, he's not. He's taking his daily 41-minute exactly bathroom break. Exactly.
That's a whole lot.
Whole lot of what?
Nothing.
Breaking?
Oh, there he is. Sorry. It moves him to the top as a moderator. Yeah, he's there. Wait, making Adepticon molds?
For what?
That seems kind of pointless, right?
Yeah. Did you get roped into working for free for the Adepticant stuff?
I saw that.
No, again, I mean, a lot of streamers and painters are in trouble. So That's just the reality of this outbreak. A lot of people are now missing out on classes they thought they were getting paid for and all that stuff. So anything anybody can do to help people out is obviously appreciated. But also, I also need help because, you know what I'm saying? So sign up for the Patreon. But let's see. Oh, okay, cool. I thought you were making something that said like Adepticon on it. Like, oh, okay.
Oh, look at that. That means she's headed up there regardless. She's going to hold her own con.
Right. I believe it. Now I wonder what kind of armored vehicle they can come up with to donate for COVID response. Or COVID response. That'd be funny. Let's see. All right, this arm, our jewelry. I'm just going to do a quick wash on top when it's dry. And then we'll highlight the edge of the legs. So we're pretty much ready for that. Yep, we'll do the back side of that. I'm not 1,000,000% concerned on it. An outbreak response van. I like that, Max Powers. Actually, I feel like it should be an RV, right? Like if they could come up with a combat RV and be like, hey, this is our Outback version, whatever. Outback Breakout. Outback Steakhouse Breakout. Outback
Yes.
Breakout. Bloomin' COVID Onion. What's happening?
Yes. I think the first thing I want in an outbreak is a bloomin' onion.
No, you don't. Because you don't have any toilet paper, Justin. This is the problem.
No. Yeah, you eat and then it
Just don't poop?
Yeah. That's. I mean, you ever had a bloomin' onion? You don't really poop. They're so tasty, but you don't really poop.
Okay, we're doing good. We're doing good. Okay. All right, so let's knock out these legs, shall we? All right, so we had our darker spider goo color. And what I'm going to do now is just take it down all the way. We're going to go real bright. We're going to go all the way to alien glue if I can. So I'm going to redo this one because I have successfully wiped all of the paint off of the front one. Sorry, let's move this out of the way. This is why Justin is Justy Musty. But I appreciate you, Sydney. That's a Sydneyism. That's a new one.
Yeah, the effort is
That's important. A new one. We'll stick with that too. Justy Musty. He's Justy Musty. Sydney, don't make that face. I know her typical response is, you like it. Stop it.
They closed all of the restaurants in Illinois? Wow.
That'll happen here shortly. But yeah, what they're doing is you can't dine in anywhere. Restaurants can only operate carry-out or delivery.
That makes sense.
Yep.
And they'll probably do the curbside delivery thing where like you don't even leave your car.
Yep. Well, that's the deal. If it really is, you shouldn't be in groups more than 5 people, right? Like, yeah. So makes sense to me, man. I got ramen for a month, man. If things go bad, I was actually looking in our pantry in the freezer, and I was like, "Hey, boyos, we kind of need some stuff in the house."
55K in, so they just subscribed to your.
You subscribe to the Patreon.
Yes, your scholar tier.
Oh, I don't remember which. I think that's the. So you should be getting. Well, once I let you in that group, obviously, wink, wink. So make sure you hop on there. You'll get access to all of those other videos, and then you will also get access to the the hobby video that we have coming up this week or this weekend on Saturday. So, but big thank you. Obviously, like I said, I lost quite. So the way that the commissions work, I'll just explain it, right? So if somebody books something with me, they put 50% down, and then I do 50% on completion. What that allows me to do, obviously, is create some kind of normalcy of a schedule, right? Like if I have 2 things book a month, and I can complete 2 things book a month. That's 4 different, right, instances where I can get paid. So
Right.
that's cool. And then the other part of that too, right, is deposits are non-refundable. So, I've had instances in the past where someone does a huge deposit on a game, and then 9 months later, they're like, hey, can I get my money back? And that's obviously not probably possible, right? Like I wish I made enough money as an artist to have thousands in holding, right, for every commission. That's not how it works. So what's happened now recently is I've had a few grand's worth of finishing payments disappear.
I see.
So, they may have paid months and months ago, and they understand the deal too, right? Like, yeah, this is just how it goes. They don't owe me anything because that's just how that rolls out. But, stuff gets shipped back to them. And, I'm not charging anyone any money too. Like, if I've almost completed it and you don't want it now, like these are people that I've dealt with in the past. But so I definitely have lost money. But anybody signing up for the Patreon right now, that is a huge, huge, big thank you. And like I said too, I think we're about $100 off from having 4 classes a month. So I won't be doing like every first weekend of the month. That's my off weekend, and then I literally work every weekend following that. So
That's fair.
But we'll figure out the split on the 4 classes once we hit that milestone. But it keeps growing, and I do appreciate everybody. I get a lot of really, really awesome feedback. A lot of people saying, it's been really, really helpful for their painting, and they've learned a lot of new stuff, whatever the case may be. So I really, really appreciate you, and I hope to bring you more cool, rad stuff as well. So you can see all we're doing here is just highlighting up those legs to get the same as these. I actually think we pretty much hit it. I wanted to go a little bit brighter, so we're going to go a little bit brighter.
Also, I wanted to take a second to elaborate on the new Patreon tier that you recently put in. Titled the Quarantine Scholar.
Oh, the Quarantine Scholar.
Yeah, in which you're actually allowed to pay in toilet paper.
Oh.
Yes, per month.
Wow. That's really great. I'm glad to find that one out. Yeah, we'll see how that one goes. But I did actually recently just add some new tiers, I think like last week or whatever. So I do offer individual lessons, and those are all one sessions, 1 hour, 2 hour, and you just buy those through the website as you would anything else. But I added them to the Patreon, so essentially you get the Patreon free, or you get 35 off of either, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit of a discount. But I did add those, and I had somebody take advantage of it immediately. So, I mean, if I had one person sign up for that, then we're immediately at 4 classes a month. Like, that's no question. And then I have to immediately figure out what the next goal is. But I did add those, so that is something new. Because I've had quite a few people ask, like, can you add the classes, but on the Patreon? And I'm kind of like, well, I don't know if anybody would sign up for it, but I guess I was the one that was thinking that and not other people. So, business, man. Kind of like magnets. How does it work? But this will be my final highlight here on these legs, making them even more spider gooey green. And then that's it. Our Sherlith Demoness, Spider Demoness, will be finito. We will have 1 miniature left in the March Miniature Monday kit. Now, the change that we were making moving forward because of the holiday that we had on the Monday at the beginning of this month, what we were changing it to is taking out the name of the month on the kit and instead just theming it. So, like I said, for those that are joining late, the next kit that we are doing is a jungle kit of some sort. And so it will just have its own name, right? And then that way it's not tied to a month, and that way you can just get it. And it'll start whenever it starts. Obviously, everything's in the air right now. So, we are, even if I'm not up here, oops, sorry, I'm hitting the mic. Even if I'm not up here next Monday or the Monday of the 30th, right, I can still stream from home. So that's not an issue. You shouldn't see any interruption there. The only question is us sort of pausing to wait and see for that next kit when it releases, when it's available, when we give you that information, right? I still have to paint the miniatures. All that is kind of just rolling, and we're just figuring it out as it goes along. But so recapping what we've done today. So like I said, I wanted to make her a little bit brighter on our version, which we did. I think we did a good job of that, and we made the spider legs much brighter. Everything's brighter with her this time around. It's always kind of different. Like I always try and sort of think about the fastest way to do something or the easiest method. And then when I come to you guys on the show, I'm like, we're going to make a little bit of a change here. But so we worked on our demoness today. Of course, last week we worked on both of our mushrooms. This is the March kit, of course, if you are still going to buy one to get caught up. So you can see our 2 mushrooms here. These I feel like were a little bit brighter, but I think it's because there's no matte varnish on these, so they're still a little bit reflective and dark, but I loved these 2. Really, really fun. I know I've seen you guys post those painted up as well. And then we also did our mini spider, and the only miniature that we have left for this kit is our hero. So here she is. We're going to do some cool blade work and everything like that. I know the miniatures are kind of small today on camera. It's because she was so large we had to adjust the camera and the zoom accordingly. So it'll be back to our regular sort of, this length next week. And then, of course, starting tomorrow, over the next 9 days, or longer than that, but through the 30th, every day, Tuesday through Friday, we're going to be working on this Dragon from Bones 5. So I'll start on this tomorrow, and we'll just do piece by piece for about an hour, and then that way on the 30th, where we review your miniatures that you've painted as a part of the kits and everything like that, we'll then also finish out this model. So this should be really, really fun. But otherwise, is there anything that you can think of housekeeping-wise other than making sure everybody stays calm? That's really all. My only advice is just remember, I wouldn't get worried, thinking like the world is going to end, because obviously we're all in this together. So, it'll all work out. But from my end, I will still be streaming either way. You're still going to see me, even if I'm not in this building. If something changes, the next kit to be released will probably change a little bit on the release date. Who knows? Whatever. We're just kind of playing that by ear. But either way, I'm going to keep streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Try and keep you guys, nice and entertained if you're having to work from home. But beyond that, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. I hope you enjoy the rest of the streams here on Reaper. Remember, you can always subscribe here on Twitch. That supports the streams directly. Or if you don't sub on Twitch, you can buy the monthly kit, and that helps out even more because it's more of a donation of your love, right, to the show. So I've plugged my own stuff enough today, so you know where to find that. You can do the command if you want, either way. But I hope you guys have a really, really great rest of your day, the rest of your week. I know Justin and I will keep you posted if anything changes in terms of our schedule here. And I'll let you all know in the Reaper group and on my Facebook page as well the second that I know. But beyond that, I hope you have a great rest of your week. So are we rating somebody today?
Yes, actually. We are going to be rating, and this is kind of a special raid. We're going to be rating Mocha. And the reason why we're rating Mocha, well, for one, she's, I think she's a great painter.
Nice.
She's nice. She's awesome. I like Mocha a lot. But the main reason why we're going to be rating Mocha here is she actually just lost her cat this last Friday, I believe.
Yes.
And so if we can brighten her day just a little bit, right? Because it always sucks to lose any animals or loved ones or anything like that.
Yep.
Even if cats are a-holes, because they are.
Arthur's not.
My cat's an a-hole.
Arthur's good kitty.
Okay, well, you got the one good kitty.
I did. I got the one nice one.
So with that being said, if you guys could hop over there, really spread the Reaper love, tell her how much you appreciate what she's doing, and maybe just make her day a little better.
Yep.
Outside of that, that's about it. Want to give us a wave, Josh? Ah, yes, the perfect wave. All right, guys, you have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you for Anne's show tomorrow morning at 11.
See you later, guys.
See you guys.